Hey, how you doing? If you're watching this video, just want to point out this was originally intended to be a recent webinar, but due to technical difficulties, it did not happen. So I'm shooting it as a video, but I'm going to run through the slides just like it was a webinar. The only thing that's different is there won't be any attendees, so I won't be answering any questions as I run through this. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm going to turn my video off. I will come back on right at the end just to say farewell. And after you watch this, if you have any questions, please send me an email, tf@tysonfranklin.com. Okay, so let's get stuck into this presentation. Okay, here we go. So the title of this video is Start Planning Now for an Outstanding 2021 and Leave the Other Podiatrists Behind. And this is not going to be your typical presentation about planning and goal setting. I do have my own thoughts about this subject, a few things that I think might differ with how some people actually think about planning and goal setting. And I want to apologize in advance. I sometimes talk quite quickly. So if you happen to miss something, just press pause, go back and listen to it again. And if you get the urge, watch this video more than once. So, and I also know that when I looked at the attendees, there were a lot of people who had registered that I did not know who they were. So to give you a bit of background on me, in case you don't know who I am, which is probably the case, I graduated in 1988 in QUT in Brisbane. And over the past 30 years, I opened, sold, relocated more than 20 podiatry businesses and also picked up a couple of business awards along the way. The Telstra Business Award was probably the biggest one that's most notable in Australia. If you're overseas, it may not mean anything to you. I also, in 2014, wrote the book, It's No Secret There's Money in Podiatry, a podiatrist guide to earning more, working less, and enjoying what you do each day, which I think is super important. In 2016, I kicked off It's No Secret with Dr. T, which was a small business and marketing podcast. Did 211 episodes, and I ended that in May 2020 this year. Because I wanted to concentrate on my new podcast, the Podiatry Legends podcast, which kicked off in January 2019. And I also wrote a second book, It's No Secret There's Money in Small Business, which is very similar to the first book, except it's got a lot of podiatry taken out, new stories, and it's pumped full of steroids. So it's also a good book if you want something to read. Towards the end of 2019, I started doing some marketing workshops called Success Leaves Clues, and they were accepted. They went really, really well. And then I moved that to an online version, which also was very, very popular. And I'm going to be doing more of them in 2021. I started the Podiatry Business Owners Club on Facebook. So if you haven't already joined that group, please go over to Facebook, join the Podiatry Business Owners Club. Don't get us mixed up with the Podiatry Business Owners group. That's not us. It's a different group, not as much fun, I don't think anyway. And then about halfway through the year, I started the 12-week Podiatry Business Reboot, which was a group coaching program. And I'm just winding up the third group at the moment and starting a fourth group in January 2021. And the feedback from the podiatrists that have been in that group has been amazing. It's actually blown my mind how much positive feedback we've gotten and how much the people that have been in the groups have learnt from each other, not just what I present, but the feedback and them talking about the different subjects. It is amazing. And this led on to the Podiatry Business Spartans membership group, which I started. And the only way you can actually get into that group is you must have done the 12-week Podiatry Business Reboot first, and then you're invited in to join that group. And the reason I've done it that way is because I don't just want anybody joining the Podiatry Business Spartans. They need to have a certain mindset to get into that group, because I want everybody in that group to interact, know, like, and actually trust each other. So that's enough about me. Let's get on with this presentation. Start planning now for an outstanding 2021 and leave the other podiatrists behind. So what do I mean by leave the other podiatrists behind? It's actually an interesting question. I'll look at it this way. Most podiatrists do not plan. That's the problem. So if you're planning for 2021 now, you're already one step ahead of everybody else. And some may think they plan, but that's all they do. They just think about it. They don't actually take any action. And you've probably all heard the saying, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And it's like climbing a mountain. That's why I use this picture. You don't just decide to climb a mountain without a ton of planning and preparation. And part of that preparation would be training. It would be gaining more knowledge on what to do. If you just tried to climb a large mountain without any training and any preparation, you know it's going to end badly. So what is planning? It's the process of making plans for something. Now, something is the key word here. And the meaning of something is a thing that is unknown or not specified, which I think is really, really vague. Therefore, something, whatever that is, needs to have a name. You can't just say, I want my podiatry business to be better in 2021. Better doesn't actually mean anything. So let's take a holiday as an example. Did you know that most people will spend more time planning a holiday than they do their podiatry career? And yes, the year 2020, it's been a bit different with COVID, but in any other year, most people would have planned a holiday or taken a trip at some time this year. And over that, while their planning process, they would have booked a flight or flights, booked accommodation. They may have set a budget, what they were going to spend each day and each week, time frames of where they were going to go, where they were going to stop, where they were going to take off from, what sites they were going to see. There were so many decisions would have been made in so much planning. You don't just jump on a plane, end up in a country and go, oh, let's see what happens, even though they can be fun holidays. But most people, if they've got 2 or 3 weeks, they're trying to get in as much as they can. And the bigger the trip, the more time is spent on planning. So if you're going away for a long weekend, not a lot of planning really needs to go into that. If you're going away for a month, there is a lot more planning involved. So I reckon your career is the biggest trip you will ever take. Therefore, it deserves your time and attention on a very regular basis. And I always say, forget about the past. The past is the past. You cannot change that. It's what you do now in the present in 2020, this month, if you're watching this video, what you do now and tomorrow and next week, that will determine your future. That will determine how well 2021 ends up panning out for you. And if you've never set goals, now is the best time to do it. There's a popular Chinese proverb, which I'm sure some of you would have heard. And it says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So basically, this means that if you want success and growth in the future, the best time to act is right now. Don't put off what you can do now. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Just get started. That is the main thing. And I love this quote from Jim Carrey. And it says, you can't just set a goal and then eat a sandwich. So you can't say you want something, a specific goal, and then do nothing about it. Then just sit back on the couch and eat a sandwich. Pretty much is what he's saying there. Everything you do, or anything, if you want it bad enough, you need to put some time and effort into it. And you'll hear people say, should goals scare you? I reckon that's the question, should goals scare you? And they say, if your goals and dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And they're saying that they've got to generate an emotion. Now, I'm not a true believer in the scare aspect of goal setting, but I do believe it should create an emotion. So I think that I believe goals should excite you. And when you think about them, it should really just put a bloody big smile on your face. No different to when you're actually planning a holiday. When you're flicking through the brochures and you're looking at all the different things that you can actually see and do and time you're going to spend with people that you love spending time with, it should excite you and it should make you smile. That's what goals are supposed to do. They're supposed to excite you. So if you're setting goals, they're not exciting you, then are they really goals, or are they just something you're just going to do? It's not really that important. They need to excite you and they need to put a big smile on your face. I don't believe in pursuing something that scares me. To me, that is that's a bit of a negative. And this is the problem. If you struggle working out what it is that you want, I say work out what you don't want and then do the opposite. I call these anti-goals. So say, for example, money. Let's just talk about money for a sec. Do you want to make more money or less money in 2021? Now, I don't think too many people say, yeah, no, I want to make less. The answer is no. You want to make more money in 2021 than 2020. Do you want to make the same amount of money? Probably not. Do you want to make more? Yes. Then you ask yourself the question, how much more? Is it a percentage or is it a specific dollar value? Once you work that out, then plan out the action steps required. So this is what I mean by anti goals. Work out what you don't want. So you don't want to be broke. You don't want to make less money. So therefore you want to make more money. How much do you want to make? Work out a percentage or a specific number, and then put the plans in place to actually achieve that. Health and fitness are no different. If you said to most people, so what are your health goals for 2021? Do you want to be in worse shape than you are in 2020? Most people would say no. So to me, it all comes back to asking yourself really, really good questions. Like in your business, what do you want to improve? Look at your business. What do you want to improve? What changes do you want to make? To me, that is the first part of goal setting, is asking good questions and then listing down your answers. Then you need to plan the action steps. But you can't do everything at once. That's a big mistake that people make. They write down 25 things that they want to achieve the following year. And then this creates this massive overwhelm, anxiety, and then they don't end up doing anything. This is why people give up on fitness goals. I say, I want to get fitter next year. So they buy a pair of running shoes and they go out and they run 5Ks, and then they can't walk for the next 3 days because they haven't done that for 5 years. Or all of a sudden they want to lose weight. So they just pretty much stop eating, and they're eating lettuce. And then they wonder why it gets to 5 days into it. And next thing they're binging with a bucket of ice cream on the lounge, because it's unachievable if you just try and make your goals too big or too many. You've got to plan these things out, but you don't want to create overwhelm by having too many goals that you're actually focusing on. So this is the first thing I want to talk about, a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And what's the one thing you can do this week such that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? Ask yourself this question and your results will go through the roof. I will guarantee it. And the other thing, he talks about, someday goals, talks about really big goals, but then he breaks it down to year goals, 3 monthly, weekly, and today's action. But the whole time when he's looking at his 3-month goal, for example, he'll ask himself, what's the one thing that he can do in the next 3 months that will make the 1 year goal more achievable? And he just works his way back. So you keep asking yourself each day, when you're looking at your week and you've got to work out what is it you need to do this week, ask yourself the question, what's the one thing you can do this week such that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? When you're looking at the list of things that you need to do today, take a look at that list. What is the one thing on that list that is more important than anything else that is actually going to help you achieve your weekly goal? And then when you look at your weekly goal, what's the number one that's going to help you achieve your monthly goal? And you just keep working through that way. The second book I want to point out is this one called The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran. And it says here, don't wait a year to review your goals. Instead, check and review them every 12 weeks. And the subtitle is basically, get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. So what you're basically doing is you're looking at your goals, you're breaking it down to 12 weeks, and you're pushing yourself 4 times a year. And then you have a break off in between each week. You got it. So 4 times 12 is 48, 52 weeks in a year. You get a week break in between to rest, relax, and do whatever it is that you want to do. And this is why my podiatry business reboot, I decided to make it 12 weeks, because everybody can commit to 12 weeks. After I completed each group, I asked for feedback. And one person actually said to me, had I considered actually making this a 26 week or a 6-month sort of program, so to spread it out a little bit more? And I could have done that, but realistically, the results would have been the same. What they achieved in 12 weeks by pushing themselves a little bit harder would have been exactly the same as if I'd made it a 6-month or a 12-month program. And sometimes I've seen some 12-month programs, and I've gone through some 12-month programs myself. And when I look at them and gone, you know what, that really could have been compressed to being a lot shorter. I remember doing one once. It was a 6-month program. And I reckon by the time I finished the 6 months, I'm pretty much going, that could have been like an 8-hour program. It could have been a 1-day event and just got that basically all sorted out. Oh, just getting a drink. So you need to start planning for 2021. Create a roadmap of where you want to go or end up at the end of 2021. It's really just a big picture overview of where you're headed, a little bit of strategic thinking. There's not a lot of detail, and you don't really have to put a lot of specifics on what you're going to do when you're planning out for a whole year. But what it does, it just gives you a definite course or a path to follow. Then break it into 12-week chunks and push yourself for each of those 12 weeks. So like I said, you're planning for a holiday, whether it's a week or 4 weeks, you will plan out that whole holiday. You'll have majority of it sort of mapped out, knowing what you're going to do, but you don't specifically know on each day exactly what is going to happen. And when you're planning for your business, it pretty much works exactly the same way. There's another book I'm showing you here called Essentialism. It says people fail because they keep busy doing unessential tasks instead of focusing on what is essential. So they'll have a massive to-do list and they'll sit there and they feel great ticking off all these tasks each day. Like, oh, look at that. I've ticked off 20 things, but they fail to do any task that actually helps them achieve one of their goals. Now, I've been pushing myself to do webinars pretty much on a monthly basis for the last 6 months. Now, so over that period, I've created 6 webinars. I've created 6 pieces of content, 6 videos. And it's because I pushed myself to do it. I could have just sat back and gone, yeah, I won't worry about it. But you need to push yourself. There'll be things that need to get done. Work out what the essential tasks are and do them ahead of all the other things. And it's one of those things that, and here's the answer. This is what he says. Write a list of everything that needs to be done. Pick the top 3 tasks and then work on them first before doing anything else. And this is important. Checking your emails is not an important task. I know I used to wake up and first thing in the morning, I'd wake up and I'd go and check my emails. And the next thing, an hour, 2 hours could have passed because I'm all of a sudden I've jumped onto what everybody else's schedule is and what is important to them. These days, I don't check my emails usually until a lot later in the day, unless I'm expecting an email and I know that it's important, I have to address it. But in general, most of the emails that are in your inbox, if you don't get to them until the next day, it doesn't really matter. And if you've ever taken a trip overseas and you've been on a plane for 12 hours, did the world come to an end because you didn't check your emails for 12 hours? Usually it's actually, I remember going back about 8 years ago, I was on an island in Fiji and they had no internet. And you can see people walk around the island with their phones standing on rocks, trying to wave it in the air. And we all agreed towards the end of the week, we're going, how good is this to not actually be checking our emails all the time? And yes, I got back and there was probably 1,000 emails there I had to go through. But at the time, it was really, really relaxing. So going back to the 3 tasks, when you look at the 3 tasks, then ask yourself that question again. What's the one thing that you can do this week such by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? And what we mean by the easier or unnecessary, you might have 10 things written on a list. You do that one thing that's really important, and you may find 4 or 5 of those other things that were on the list aren't important, or you don't need to do them now. And I've found sheets of paper that have been in the back of a book where I've had tasks written down. And all of a sudden I go, oh, I remember writing that about 2 years ago. And I look at all the things that are written on there and probably 3/4 of them I never did. And my world did not come to an end. So just focus on what's the one thing that you can do this week, such that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary. And now you can see how some of these books that I'm showing you, how they actually blend with each other, how you can take a little bit from one book, and a little bit from another book, and you can actually start putting a really, really good thought process in place. The other part is you need accountability. Everybody knows you perform differently and perform better, I think, when you're being watched. And this is why podiatrists have a one-on-one coach, or they're part of a group coaching program, or they're part of a membership group, because they know when there's accountability, you tend to get more done. If you say to some people, I'm going to do this, and you shout it to the world, and now people know you're going to do it, you have to get it done. You can't sort of go, oh yeah, no, I just changed my mind, decided not to do it. Now here's a thought to help with accountability, try sharing your goals with your friends on Facebook. You could make your goals part of your cover photo. And then every time you go onto Facebook, you will be reminded, because some people will say, yeah, the only reason I didn't get that done is because I forgot about it. Most people I know are on Facebook on a fairly regular basis. This was my Facebook cover picture I put up in 2017. Every day I went to Facebook, I saw it. I had friends that were asking me, hey, Tyson, when's your website going to get done? I got it done. I wanted to start my own business podcast series. I got it done. I wanted to have the podiatry marketing conference in Cairns, which I did do. So I ticked that one off, and that one was called Unlock Your Creative Mind. And that was fun as well. Create an online course and then publish my next book by October, which I did do. The only thing I didn't get done that particular year was create the online course. But yeah, Meatloaf was happy with 2 out of 3. I was happy with 4 out of 5. So in 2020, during COVID, I have seen some podiatrists that I've been working with make 40% more than what they were making beforehand, and actually working less days than what they were doing. And it's all because of accountability. And it's all about, it's not massive changes. It's improving slightly in many aspects of your business. Some people think, oh, if we just have more marketing, then everything will be so much better. Marketing's great, but if you have bad systems, then you can be bringing people in, you could be losing them. You could have awesome systems, but if you don't have people coming in, then you need marketing. You might have good systems, great marketing, but you get a lousy team. So the team needs to be trained. You need to show leadership with the team. And it's the 4th book I want to share with you, The Slight Edge. And you really just need to do 10% more. You don't need to work twice as hard or do more hours than the podiatrist down the street. You just need to improve slightly, 10% in many areas, whether it's different systems, recall systems, reactivation, whether it is your marketing. Planning and goal setting is one of those areas that if you spend a little bit more time on them, 10% more than the average person, then you will actually see the results. And you need to set up a really awesome morning routine, both at home and at work. So when you think of home, when you wake up in the morning, how do you start the day? What is your ritual for starting it? Everybody has a ritual. Everybody has a routine that they basically go through. It's exactly the same when you get to work. When you arrive at work, there will be a routine or ritual that you actually go through. And when you set goals and put plans in place to achieve them, then you need to take leadership and teach your team as well. So when you have a good morning routine yourself, start training your team on how to have a good routine. Not so much what they do at home. You can tell them what you do at home, but what you do at work, how you prepare your day and how you get started for the day, make sure you show some leadership and show your team the same process. Get your team setting individual goals. Don't just give them unrealistic targets and tell them, oh, you must achieve this. Work with them and help them set realistic goals for them. Now, if they set the goals too small, push them a little bit. But you need to be setting goals for yourself. You need to have a good routine yourself to be able to show leadership and then be able to teach them. And just another thing on goals, there's SMART goals. I've got the heading here: SMART goals, dumb, and progressive. So SMART goals, everyone would have heard of these: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, these are fine for short-term goals, but sometimes I think SMART goals are a little bit too safe. Most people will set goals and it's something that they sort of go, yeah, I'll set these. I know if I just do this, this, and this, I can probably achieve it. So that's why I look at SMART goals is they are very short-term and they are very safe. The next one, dumb goals. Sometimes you need some really big, dumb goals. And to achieve them, you really have to stretch yourself. I remember being at a weekend workshop with Brad Sugars. And he told everyone, write down your financial goal for next year. So we wrote down our financial goal. He said, now write down all the things you need to do to make that financial goal a reality. So we did it, wrote it all down. He said, okay, I'm going to set a new goal for you. Write a 0 on the end of your financial goal. So if you put down that you wanted to make $100,000 next year, all of a sudden you had to make $1 million. The whole room just went, oh my God, you've got to be kidding. There's no way that we can actually achieve that. And he said, and he told me, anyway, just settle down, but just listen to me. If your whole family was sitting there and somebody had a gun to their head or had a gun on them and said, if you do not achieve this new goal, we're going to take out your whole family. Could you come up with a couple of other ideas to actually achieve that? And everyone went, oh, and that's what he meant. It was just, okay, setting a goal for 100,000 might be one thing. Setting a goal for 1 million may be just absolutely unrealistic. However, it does make you start thinking differently. It makes you push yourself that little more, going, oh, okay, maybe I could do a couple of other things. Now, you may not hit the 1 million, but I'll guarantee the 100,000 goal that you had may be really safe. You might do 200,000, which is double the goal that you actually set. So sometimes you need to have some dumb goals, things that are really outlandish, and to achieve them, you really, really have to stretch yourself. And the other one is progressive goals, pretty much. One goal progressively leads onto another goal. And each goal is a stepping stone towards another goal. And this sort of leads back to what's the one thing you can do this week, such by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary. So just think of your goals, smart goals, dumb goals, and progressive goals. And your progressive goals, look at them that as you do one thing, it helps you tick off a few things to then lead on to the next one. So I just want to share my 5 tips for 2021. Grab a copy of these books if you have not already read them. Now, I've thrown in a 5th one in here called The Compound Effect, and it's based on the principle that decisions shape your destiny. So small everyday decisions will take you either to a life you desire, or you're going to go to a life of disaster by default. A lot of people just plod through life without building stepping stones along the way and progressively moving towards their goals. If they just let life happen, don't set goals and try to achieve something, sometimes their life doesn't work out exactly how it should. And sometimes it can work out disastrous. And that's what will happen by default if you don't do anything. And while you're grabbing these books, just joking around, may as well, if you haven't read my book, while you're ordering those ones, throw into your cart a copy of It's No Secret There's Money in Podiatry if you have not read it. So the next tip is get an accountability partner, whether it's a friend, become part of a coaching group, or simply just use Facebook like I did back in 2017. Friends will, when you put that up there, I'll guarantee you right now, people will make comments and they will ask you about your Facebook header. And I'm going to do that in 2021. I'm going to put another header up there myself, and I'm going to put the goals that I want to achieve in 2021, so everybody else can see them and keep me accountable. The third thing is create a morning routine. It takes time, but it is worthwhile. How do you currently start the day at home and at work? Look at what you do each morning. When you wake up, as soon as your eyes open, what is the process you do through the morning? And can it be more efficient? Do you waste time? I know some people will say, oh, I don't have enough time to, I'd love to do that 12-week reboot program, Tyson, but I just don't have time. Crap. Everybody can find, when we run the program, it goes for like an hour and a half at the most. If you can't find an hour and a half to work on your business and make it better, then seriously, you're really not managing your time very well. And I remember when I wrote this first book, It's No Secret There's Money in Podiatry, I was working full time in the practice, and it was busy from 8:30 to 5:30, 5 days a week. But I still wanted to write this book. So somebody said, what time do you get up in the morning? And I said, well, if I start at 8:30, I get up about 7:30, and then I make my way there because I would go to sleep so late. I decided to go to bed earlier because nothing good happens after 10 p.m. anyway. And I was waking up at 4 a.m. And from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., I wrote. And I did that for 6 months. After doing that, I now, around 4:35, I wake up anyway. It's almost impossible for me to stay in bed after 5:30 a.m. So the fourth thing is design a 12-month roadmap. Just like planning a holiday, get some direction on where you're headed in 2021. Don't just let it happen by default. Sit down, look at the end of 2021 and ask yourself, where would you like to be? And then just step yourself back from there. As long as you've got the roadmap, remember, it's just set in sand. if things can move around, things can change. I know at the beginning of this year, people probably had plans for the end of 2020, and a few of those plans may have got messed up a little bit because of COVID. But at the same time, I know podiatrists, I know dentists, I know some physios, I know some other business people that they have excelled in 2020 far more than they thought they were going to. And I always said to everybody, when COVID eventually finishes, whenever that is, if you come out with the same skills, the same knowledge, the same training that you had going into it, that was a wasted opportunity. You've got so much time. Some people have a lot of time now to actually learn more. So get in there and learn. So when we do pop out the other end, you hit the ground running. But like I said, I know people that have been running the practices with shorter hours and are still making more money because they've molded their practice. They've changed the way that they used to do things. And the fifth thing is create 4 12-week blocks in your diary. Push hard for 12 weeks and then have a week rest, and then do it again. You'll be surprised what you can achieve. So you might have a roadmap for 2021, break it into 4 parts and say, what would you like to achieve every 12 weeks? Get your team on board, get your family, get everybody on board that you need, and just say, for the next 12 weeks, this is what we're going to aim for, and push yourself. Have a week's rest, enjoy it. Have a few pina coladas, have a margarita, and then start again on the next 12-week block, and try and set yourself up 4 12-week blocks to actually push yourself. And you will be surprised what you'll get done over that year period. And this could be one of your goals for 2021. Do my 12-week podiatry business reboot. If you haven't done it, and I know there were a lot of people that were registered on the actual webinar who have already done the 12-week podiatry business reboot or are currently in group number 3. The next group starts Wednesday, 13th of January, 2021. I'm doing one of these groups per quarter. So if the January quarter doesn't suit you, fine, wait till the next one. It's 5:30 p.m. in Queensland, 6:30 p.m. Australian Daylight Savings, 7:30 a.m. at the moment in the UK. So when daylight savings changes, it sort of changes a little bit. It's suitable for all podiatry business owners. And if you're an employee at the moment and you're thinking about having your own business and you're sort of, I might start one in 2021, I'm going to work for myself, do this bloody program. Tell you what you will learn over this 12-week podiatry business reboot will blow your mind. And even if you're an experienced podiatrist who's got 3 or 4 clinics and you might have 5 team members already that are working and you're making good money, I'll tell you right now, you will be making more money by the time you finish this 12 weeks. And all the details are on my website. Just go to tysonfranklin.com/coaching/reboot, or you just go on my website and you'll basically find it there. And it's $14.99 Australian to do it, which is about half that if you're talking UK pounds. And if you're American dollar, yeah, it's almost free. And the thing with it is you can do 3 payments if that suits you better. And I actually guarantee this program. If you do the program, you get to the end of the 12 weeks and you go, Tyson, I didn't like it. I got nothing from that. Didn't feel it was beneficial in any way. I will give you back 3 times the money that you invested into it. So that's how confident I am that you will benefit by doing the 12-week podiatry business reboot. And like I said, it's just one block. If you're going to do 4 12-week blocks in 2021 and you're going to really just smash 2021, pick one of those 12-week blocks and think about actually doing the 12-week podiatry business reboot. And like I said, this slide was for the webinar. If you have questions, please just send me an email, tf@tysonfranklin.com. If you want to know anything more about me, the reboot program, you just go to tysonfranklin.com. And if you haven't been listening to the podcast, get on there and listen to it. Some of the information you'll get from the podiatrists on there will blow your mind. And if that doesn't inspire you, like you say, give yourself an uppercut and take 2 Panadol, lie down and get back up and listen to it again. If you haven't grabbed a copy of my book, please order a copy of the book. You can order it directly from my website, so you don't have to do it through Amazon. Go to the Podiatry Business Owners Club on Facebook, jump on there, think about doing the Podiatry Business Reboot. And I just want to leave you with one last story. And it was someone who was talking about making the perfect chocolate cake. And they said they can give you a recipe to make the perfect chocolate cake. And if you follow that recipe to the letter, do not make any changes, that will guarantee you will always end up with a perfect chocolate cake time after time after time. It's just predictable. And that's why you need to listen to and read all you can from the people who have gone before you, those that have pretty much paved the way for you to follow. Stop, if you're banging your head against the wall, stop trying to reinvent the wheel and try and reinvent, like a proven recipe. If there's a proven recipe for podiatry success, just follow the recipe. You don't need to start adding ingredients and trying to change things if you're not a very good cook. Sort of just follow the people that have gone before you and read and listen. And that's why I put all those books up there, because those 5 books, I think, if you get them, will change your life. The 6th book, which is mine, throw it in the cart. And that's why I say, listen to the stories on the Podiatry Legends podcast. I think you will get so much out of it. I know that I do. Every time I listen to a guest, I just absolutely love it. So I'm just going to turn that off, stop sharing the screen, put my video back on. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you enjoyed that presentation. Like I said, love your feedback. Please send me an email, tf@tysonfranklin.com. Love to know what you think. Love to know your thoughts and ideas. And pretty much I am going to sign off. And hang on, I pushed the wrong button. So thank you very much for watching and listening. And once again, the people that were on the webinar or were scheduled for it, I apologize that it didn't go ahead, but I hope this video gives you the information that you're after. Okay, have an awesome rest of 2020. Have a great Christmas and kick ass in 2021. Okay, see ya.